Hello. Prime Minister, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Laurie.
And congratulations, of course.
Thank you very much.
But I've got to ask you the question Richard Carlton famously asked Bob Hawke: how does it feel to have blood on your hands?
Well, Laurie, and my answer will be, I was a loyal deputy. I came to a decision about what was in the best interests of the nation to get the government back on track. I obviously stand by that decision. It's my decision.
It's true, though, isn't it, that you told Kevin Rudd on Wednesday that you'd been thinking of toppling him for a while?
Laurie, I'm not now, or indeed at any time in the future, going to canvass publicly my conversations with Kevin Rudd that night, or indeed conversations I had with him during the time we were Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister.
I'll rephrase it then. Had you been thinking of toppling him for a while?
Laurie, I had had concerns about some of the directions of the government. I believe we were a good government. I think we'd done good things. For example, the response to the global financial crisis, keeping Australians working. This was important. We did what had to be done in the face of that international challenge. But I was also growing in my concerns about some of the directions of the government. I believed as a loyal deputy that what I could do is assist as a deputy. It became clear to me that I needed to do more, that it was important that I did take the actions that I took last week, that I took control to get the government back on track.
Now, you keep saying the government had lost its way, needed to get back on track. Where had it lost its way? Where had it taken the wrong direction?
Well, today I've made an indication about what I think is a really major issue for this country, the question of population policy. I don't believe in a big Australia. I don't believe in simply hurtling down a track to a 36 million or 40 million population. And I think if you talk to the people of Western Sydney or Western Melbourne or the Gold Coast Growth Corridor in Queensland, people would look at you and say, where will these people go? At the same time, we've got communities around the country crying out for more workers, for more people, more arms and legs to get vital work done. We've got to get the balance right here. So today, as Prime Minister, I've indicated that to get that balance right, I'll ask Tony Burke, the current Minister for Population, to be the Minister for Sustainable Population, so we do get that balance right for the future.
Well, you say this is a change of direction, but Kevin Rudd, of course, never set a target of 36 million or 40 million. It was Kevin Rudd who appointed Tony Burke to investigate how you could get the balance right. So where's the change of direction?
Well, I think the change of direction is to put front and centre the sustainability issues. Yes, there are environmental issues about water and about soil, but there are also sustainability issues about planning, about services, about the buses and the trains, the freeways and the roads that actually carry our population.
And that wasn't supposed to be part of Tony Burke's brief when Mr Rudd appointed him?
Well, I think depending on what you put at the centre of this, you take a different approach. And at the centre, I want the question of sustainability.
You see, it looks to me as though Kevin Rudd's been verbal. This $36 million so-called target's been put in his mouth when it never was a target.
Well, Kevin Rudd, as Prime Minister, indicated that he had a view about a big Australia.
He did use that phrase.
I am indicating...
But I'm not sure anyone wants a little Australia.
Well, I'm indicating a different approach, Laurie. I think we want an Australia that is sustainable. This place is our sanctuary, our home. We all wish it best for the future, and I think for the best future, we shouldn't just hurtle down a track. We should pause, we should take a breath, we should reflect, and we should get this right.
OK, you don't want people going to Western Sydney, but you say other areas of Australia need more workers. So how do you get people to go where you want them?
Well, one good way of doing that is to make sure we've got a focus on employers sponsoring people who are the skilled labour that they need. So having looked at the Australian population with us doing the right things about training, if we still need skilled migrants, then of course we should enable them to come. Laurie, I'm a migrant. My parents came here at a time that the country was saying to the world, we've got a population of around about 11 million, Australia in those days. We want to build it up. Big focus then on populate or perish, you would probably remember.
I do.
And, you know, Australia reached out for the right kind of migrants, and I hope people would conclude my parents were the right kind of migrants. So We'll still have an approach about getting the migration settings right, about meeting our needs for skilled labour, but I also want to see us do it sustainably, and I want to see us emphasise the skills and training of our own people. I don't want employers telling me that they can't get the workers they need when in some parts of this country we've got youth unemployment in double digits. I want to offer those young kids a chance, as well as have the migration settings right so employers get the workers they need in the places they need them.
Okay, this is a population policy, or at least you've asked Tony Burke to develop a population policy, as Kevin Rudd had. But that's not going to solve the problem of asylum seekers arriving by boat, is it?
I'm obviously concerned about asylum seekers, about boats. I've indicated that concern, and I think the Australian community feels it. It does make them anxious when they see boats. A little known statistic though, Laurie, is we intercept 98% of boats.
Sure.
Under the Howard government. 1 in 10 reach the mainland. But we've got to best manage our borders. We've got more assets patrolling our borders than ever before. But I want to make sure we're doing everything effective in this area. This isn't about slogans. To use an old saying, in an area like this, tough ain't enough. It's about being effective, and that's what I want to ensure, that we are being effective. I've got a decision to make quite quickly about what to do about the processing pause we've got in place. We indicated that would be for 3 months.
That's for Afghans and Sri Lankans?
The first pause was for Sri Lankans. That's coming up in 3 months. The due date then is the 8th of July. So I've got a decision to make about that, and I'll have more to say about these matters before that due date of the 8th of July.
But of course, some of the people who moved over to the Greens were protesting against Kevin Rudd's imposition of that suspension. They thought he was being harsh to refugees. Are you going to soften that so that you get these people back?
Well, I believe in doing the effective things to manage our borders. I also believe this nation needs to honour its obligations to people who are genuine refugees, and honour what I think is an Australian value about care and concern for children. I don't think Australians want to see innocent children behind razor wire, whatever decisions their parents may or may not have taken, whatever people think about those decisions. The kids didn't make those decisions, and they deserve the best of our care and concern.
Well, another boatload arrived yesterday, 96 asylum seekers, so the Liberals would say it shows your policy's not working.
Well, you know, once again, slogans, easy to engage in here.
Well, they are. I was going to ask you about that. You talked about how many boats your government intercepts. John Howard's government intercepted the same number of boats, and yet you, as Shadow Minister, of course, as I reminded you last October, came out with the immortal line, another boat, another policy failure. So you can't wriggle out of that. That's your line and your verdict.
Laurie, well, let's just have a look at the facts here.
Well, we had another boat yesterday, another policy failure.